A Sherlock project is made up of three key components. We have our life cycle, which I'll go into in a little bit. We have our project results, which at the moment I don't have any project results because I haven't executed any of the analysis. And lastly, we have our circuit card or circuit cards. In this case, I have one circuit card, but if I had multiple circuit cards, you'll see them just listed one after the other. If I expand my circuit card here, you'll see that the circuit card's made up of a lot of things, namely a lot of different files that you see here. These files have been read in from my ODB++ archive, and Sherlock has gone through, looked at them, and identified their file type as well. So if I right-click on this file here and click Edit Properties, you'll see that Sherlock is able to automatically detect that this is a pick-and-place file from an ODB++, assign it that file type, and along with that file type, we have some extra additional options here for the pick-and-place file. If Sherlock's incorrectly assigned my file type or has just failed to assign my file type and I know what it is, I can always click the drop down here and you can see here that Sherlock supports all of these different file types and I can manually assign them to this file type. Similarly for this layer here, for instance, if I right click and edit properties, you'll see that Sherlock's identified this as a copper layer from the ODB++, and therefore we have some copper layer properties that go along with that. Any file type that's being detected and assigned can then be used and viewed in Sherlock. So if I right click on this top file again, I can view my file, which in this case is the pick and place file, and I can actually see what that pick and place file looks like as it's in its raw form. Or I can double click on it and actually view visually this pick and place file. So Sherlock will open up in a layer viewer as you see here, and you can see all of the components that it's reading from the pick and place file, both on the top and on the bottom. And Sherlock actually visually gives us an image here to give us an idea of where these components sit on our board. The same goes for this copper layer. If I double click on this copper layer, you'll see that Sherlock also renders the copper layer, so we can see where the copper traces actually are for this particular layer. And I can click through and you can see that the different copper layers have copper in different areas, and Sherlock's able to visualize that for us. I can also add all manner of other files into this files list here as well, even files that Sherlock doesn't necessarily support or Sherlock can't really do anything with that information. If I right click on the circuit card, I can go down to add files and I can choose some files. So for instance, I'll choose these two files here. I'll add them and you see that they're added to this files list here. One of them is a PDF, which Sherlock's identified as a PDF. And if I double click on the PDF, it actually opens in my PDF reader here and I can read through the PDF like I would any other PDF file. This other file here is a PowerPoint file and Sherlock's not able to actually open that and it hasn't detected what it is. It's just another file type. But I can always right click on it, go to show location, which opens my project directory, and in here you can see my PDF and my PowerPoint file, which I can double click obviously here in this Explorer window and launch PowerPoint. So you see, even though Sherlock may not be able to utilize all of the incoming data, it still keeps and tracks all of that. And if I export this project and send it off to somebody else, when they open that project, these files will be attached with the project itself. So it's good for just traceability if I wanted to put in some spec sheets or some test data or data sheets. I can attach them to my project, and even though Sherlock doesn't directly use that information, anyone that's opening that project can view that and can utilize that information as well. If I right click on the circuit card itself, I can go down to my circuit card properties where you see my circuit card name, and in this particular circuit card I can also add some notes if I want. I can also choose the solder type that's used on this circuit card. There are a bunch of other options as well, so I can export different components from my circuit card. So I can export the circuit card itself to be used later on or to send to somebody else, or I can export things just like the mount points, the ICT fixtures, test points, and wire bonds. Obviously I can delete circuit card, and that is pretty straightforward. It'll just delete this circuit card from my project. On top of that, I can add files which I've already touched upon, as well as import files from archives as well to add to this particular circuit card. Lastly, down the bottom here, I can clear circuit card results if I run some analysis and I want to clear those results, or I can save those results as well. And lastly, show location, like I showed before, will open the project directory and you'll see all of the information that's contained within that project.